Now, the reason I was a little bit negative about the Yates signing was because of who UAE haven't signed. They've signed Wellens, Großschartner, and Domen Novak. Whether you're just starting out on your cycling journey or are looking for those final tune-ups ahead of a big event or race, Zwift is the online cycling platform that makes things fun. There are 9 different worlds, thousands of kilometers of virtual road, including replicas of real-world climbs like Alpe du Zwift. There's workouts, training plans, events, and races for every level of rider. The massive community means you're never alone. So if you want to find out more about Zwift, or indeed to start your free 7-day trial, head to Zwift.com down below. Now, Novak signing for UAE is no surprise to anyone who watched Tour of Slovenia, which was kind of the UAE tour, where he was sort of half riding with or for Pogacar whilst on Bahrain. He's a good rider, just a solid mountain domestique. Großschartner's top 10 of Vuelta. I just, again, Benji, for points, it's fine, like these riders, but first of all, Wellens doesn't score in big World Tour one-day races. Neither does Großschartner, really. Novak's a domestique. Neither of them are really capable of winning World Tour GC 1 weeks. Unlike Yates. Yeah, they can be an okay domestique, but Wellens is literally allergic to the heat.
Yeah.
Actually allergic to the heat. They've done tests. He gets a rash. It's because when we joke about February Wellens, yeah, he can't ride as well in June and July in France.
We spoke about UAE quite a lot and the potential weaknesses that the team has towards next year as well, and had in this year's Tour de France, after the Tour de France, in our recap discussion of that Tour de France. And what came out of that discussion was that we saw a lack of controlling the breakaway. Those type of riders, a rider that can control the breakaway well, that can be the break formation phase in the race is very important to make sure that a Jumbo can't sit riders up the road, for example. And you need riders to try and counter that, or to be riders that can also make that move in the earlier part of the race. And I see that in a limited fashion when it comes to UAE Team Emirates. And on paper, physiologically, as in the way he's built and the way he can ride couple races and so forth, and is a ruler, Wellens fits that description. But like you said, one, he's allergic to the heat in that sense. And next to that, is that the reason that they signed him? And that's also a question mark for me, because I do believe that that is an area where they have to either find a rider in their current team that needs to fill that role, or they need to find a signing that can also fill that role. And perhaps a rider that is joining Ineos that we haven't spoken about yet, but Connor Swift is a rider that would have fit that role, for example, do you think?
100%. 100%.
That's
look
the kind
at
of
Connor
rider.
Swift. What was it? The French races, Benji. Quintana was there all day. Tour de Provence in the crosswind stage that Viviani won. He was there. Schelmers was good there too. Swift, I think, was with him. Swift is just a really good stage racing rouleur. I don't think he would have cost the world. And yeah, when you they're rouleurs, the Oliveira brothers, Bjerg, who isn't that good at it. And that's about it, really. Finn Fisher Black has been injured this year, so they'll be hoping. He's only 20, and he does have the talent, but Pogacar's in his Tour de France winning cycle of his career now, and so Kuhn was the man to go for. They couldn't get him for whatever reason. Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah, just anyone that's 73 kilos to 76 kilos that has some race sense at the start. And so, the Wellens transfer just doesn't, it's just meaningless to me. Just I don't care. I don't care if Tim Wellens wins Volta Andalusia for UAE. I set the bar for them is winning monuments, winning the Tour de France, winning not just the Tour, podiuming the Giro, podiuming the Vuelta. They should be on the podium of every Grand Tour each year. That's the goal. because of the budget, because of the talent, because you have Pogacar. And so, like, Wellens just doesn't really move the needle for me.
And next to that, there's also the aspect that is the Cobble Classics. Can Wellens offer something in the Cobble Classics to make that team a stronger team, more support for whoever is leader in that race? Yes, I think that's something that he can play a role in, for example. I don't believe he's a leader for a Cobble team at the moment. He hasn't shown that in recent years to be worthy of like an all-out leadership in that race, and Pogacar is also in this team. But the question is, what races will Pogacar focus on? Because one of the aspects that we discussed last year when it comes to UAE is that this team is still a team that is led by a man that does so many races to try and cover the races that they don't necessarily have other riders for. Because he went to the classics at the start of the season, was great at Tour of Flanders. He could have podiumed there, but he kind of choked in the final, unfortunately. And he did Lombardia last year. He does monuments throughout the season. He does Grand Tours throughout the season. This man cannot ride every single race. Is there also the aspect that they should have maybe invested in an extra leader for the Cobble season, for example? Like, for example, a Kranderson would have been if he had joined. Well, is Kranderson on the level to be a Cobble leader for UAE?
He'd be their top three, one of their top three, right? Would he be better than Trentin if Trentin's a bit on the... Like, you know, it's not hard to make the UAE Paris-Roubaix team. Like, maybe if I keep going over Christmas on Zwift, like, and it's possible, like, they're Paris-Roubaix. I think they've had, one guy on average finish every year? Like, the classics team has been very, very neglected. And if the goal is to come number one in the ranking, even if I don't agree with that being the goal, but if that is the goal, then you can't just focus on Laguelia, Trevally Varacina with Senning or Wellens, Grosschartner, Soler, Ayuso to, come four in the top 10. There's Omloop and Brugge de Pana and all these races too that score a lot of points. So again, these signings I think Novak could make the Tour team, but I think it's unlikely because Yates, Soler was really good. McNulty is better than him. Micah is still good. I just don't see how Novak... I mean, would Novak be okay in Medium Mountain, actually? Would he be all right if Hirschi... Like, could he take the place of Hirschi?
I don't know about Hirschi, but when I think of Novak, I see a potential replacement for a rider that I'm not even sure if he is leaving the team, but I think about a Pollans, for example, as in a climbing role where a Novak could replace that, but is Pollans leaving the team at UAE? Because I'm actually not sure about it, if that is the case. I'm going to take a look in a second.
He's not contracted.
Yes, so potentially he's that replacement in their eyes.
Yeah. I mean, Pollans is 30. I thought he was half decent in the... He came 12th in the Vuelta.
Yeah.
He was half decent in the Vuelta. He wasn't in their Tour team for whatever reason. He seems to have fallen out of favor with the Pogacar program because he does the opposite. He did the opposite program to Pogacar this year.